So binge viewing has changed the way all of us watch TV. And you're almost addicted to watch episode after episode, which is counter to traditional schedules. How has binge viewing changed the way you work with producers to structure their stories, or how you program? Anybody want to take a stab at that?
I'm happy to, because we just did it with Vietnam, which was huge. We have found...
Yay, yes, beautiful.
Yeah, thanks. We have found that when we make things available online to binge, it does not affect our viewership. It's an opportunity to catch up and take part in a cultural moment. I mean, what we've done it with are, some of Ken's stuff, and we did it with a couple of our dramas. Like, we're not going to do it with everything, but for the right project that is massive. Talk about a mega doc, it makes people feel part of it. And Vietnam was a little unique because it's really hard to binge that thing. So you almost need it as an ability to go back to it when you want to do that. But it was enormous. What was interesting about it is we made it available in Vietnam, and a quarter of the online viewers were from Vietnam. So it's a way to reach some. It was super interesting, yeah. And it's a way to reach audiences. And again, how do people want to consume your stuff, and you make it available to them? I think the trick, more for my colleagues here from the commercial world, how do you monetize it? But really, you can get it out there, and people want to watch it how they want to watch it.
Can I speak again?
Yes, of course you can. 'Cause you represent women. So, yes.
We've been trying this past year, and it worked. It was amazing. We were actually scared about doing it. The tradition is when a cable buyer buys something, it's 1 hour episodes or half-hour episodes. We went to 2-hour episodes on certain programs. The producers were in shock when we would order something like a 16 by 120. And so in some ways, they're like mini movies. My 600-Pound Life, for example, went to 2 hours at length this past year. This year, we're doing some long-lost families longer as well, and Sister Wives and everything. And it's been shocking because there's a retention factor on those nights across the 2 hours. We thought it would drop off. But they did not, and again, it's the Netflix, Hulu, Amazon effect of binging, and they're fine with staying put as long as it's new and it's riveting. You have to still have something to tell. The storytelling is paramount, and if it's there, we will make it 2 hours. And so that's been kind of shocking to us, and we've been doing that a lot across the night from 8 to 11, stacking the same title and 3 original hours of the same title.
I'm going to pipe in here, too, to say the strategy that the AETN family of networks has used. We generally believe that we're building for a linear platform, and we don't worry about binge watching. But what we do try and do is create must-see TV moments, as Howard said. A go-to thing for A&E has become live. That's been a way in which we've been able to keep audiences on the edge of their seats. I think most people in this room probably have seen Live PD, which really has been an innovation on the crime form for my sister network, A&E. We're also messing around with clocks, so we don't always deliver to a 43-minute clock as we used to. We try longer versions. We try and cross the top of the hour. We're doing, as Howard said, lots of different tricks to keep people glued to their TV sets, while our programs are on. But we know that people still come to us for appointment viewing, and they watch us at a specific time on their couches. We also do pay attention to Live Plus 3-day ratings.
So we're in the unique position of really experimenting right now we even have what we call hybrid binge, which we think we made up, but we probably didn't, which is releasing 4 episodes and sort of releasing batches of episodes. Some of it's practical, but what's really interesting is in the unscripted space, you can look at something like The Keepers on Netflix, which is just brilliantly designed, with a cliffhanger, kind of a revelation at the end of every episode. That's really particularly difficult in the unscripted space to always have to create that. But we do have some series where that's possible, that are sort of more hybrid, scripted, unscripted. But really, some of the just technical ways of the way you tell the story. So making sure you start strong. There was a study that was released publicly by Netflix that said, I think it was the 3rd or the 4th episode is where you actually find that people are hooked. So making sure that you have something that really starts off and draws them at least through the third episode to just really get them invested. I mean, this is not a product somebody's buying. It's something that somebody's living with for such an extended period of time. And we are just starting to release those binge shows. But also, different than television, really taking out those reminders of what just happened and those bumpers and really letting people kind of just live with the stories. And then also figuring out, we just did a 44 reality competition series, which is really unusual in the streaming space. And without commercial breaks, what we discovered is you really have to find a way to weave those A, B, and C storylines and break them up. That's a really important thing. But without elimination, there was nothing drawing people to the next episode. So that's really, that the way you end every episode is probably one of the most important things in Binge.
Yeah.
The other thing we found is that the prevalence of streaming has altered viewer tolerance for commercials. And so, you know, up until comparatively recently, the norm was if you're watching cable, you're looking at about 15 minutes of commercials in every hour. And there's a sense in which, particularly with premium content, the audience gets antsy because they can go elsewhere and not experience like that. So we've experimented a lot with reducing commercial load, which seems kind of counterintuitive from the point of view of economics, but particularly where you have highly desirable content for advertisers, you can effectively sort of change the equation so that by having fewer commercials, they become more valuable to everybody, and it becomes a much better viewing experience. And with some things, we've had the ability to run them entirely commercial free because you get one big upfront sponsor, and particularly where you've got something that's mission driven. So we did a feature doc called Before the Flood, which was Leonardo DiCaprio traveling around the world, investigating the sort of various ground zeros of climate change. And we just felt that interrupting that with commercials was just going to be a highly unsatisfactory viewing experience. So we ran it commercial free on the linear channel and then released it on pretty much every platform you can imagine, including YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, so that anyone can access it. And as a result, it was watched by 63 million people in the week and a half that followed. So I think that wouldn't have been a thought process that you would have gone down maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah. But in the current environment, you've got to be offering the viewer experience as one that is comparable with the streaming experience.
Yeah, makes sense.